see everybody in the flesh.
Haven't seen that smile.
I know, I haven't seen you in a while, in person. Great to see everybody.
Start out, we'll go to Omar.
Hey, Dwane, good to see you.
Good to see you, Amar.
Just overall, what has this offseason been like for you? A lot of changes in the play development staff, coaching staff. What has it been like to be able to kind of refresh a bit and get some new people in place?
Well, it's exciting, Omar. Starting with the new staff, you kind of have to revisit your entire philosophy. The good thing about it, I've got a couple of coaches who have worked with me before in Toronto, so that kind of reconnection was easier. But still, with the new players, new staff, it's been energizing as far as getting back into it and kind of reframing your philosophy, going back over your philosophy as you teach it or explain it to new players and coaches.
What you've seen from Cade and Luka at Summer League, what did that inform you of how they would fit into your plans for the season?
Right. Well, Lauren, the most important thing with both those young men is they're excellent talents. Their IQ, basketball IQ is off the charts. I think that's a great start for any rookie. There is still a lot to learn with a rookie as far as the NBA game is concerned. They were playing some the other day, and Kate tried to call a timeout, and you can't call a timeout of the basket in the NBA. So just simple stuff like that. It's all those things that really let you know that there's still a lot to learn. But basketball-wise, IQ-wise, they're going to be a great addition to our program. Mm-hmm.
Troy set out to get you guys some three-point shooting this year, and I know you've been a big proponent of that. Do you like the potential with this roster from three? And is it maybe things break well, maybe one of your better three-point groups?
Well, yeah, it is. Since I've been here, it is. Yes, here in Detroit, it is just because of the fact that those guys, career-wise, have been excellent three-point shooters. They've shown the ability to shoot the three-point shot. We still have some guys who are still working on their shooting to get it back up, but naturally, a guy like Trey Lyles is an excellent three-point shooter. 𝐒𝐂𝐈𝐀𝐋 is off the charts. Luka has demonstrated he can shoot the three. So again, it's summertime. We got to go through training camp, go through exhibition, and I'll have a better feel for exactly where they are as far as the three-point shooting is concerned. But Troy did an excellent job of bringing those type players in, and now we got to integrate them in and fit them into the system where they can produce and shoot the three. And the game is a three-point shooting game. It starts with defense first. You got to be able to guard, but still. It's a three-point shooting game. It's kind of an arms race, so to speak, from the three line. So we've got to be able to generate that. But also, too, we have to adjust and be adaptable as far as playing inside, because you have a guy like Isaiah who can play inside. Cade and Killian are big, strong kids, and can post up. They have the size. Cade has the length to post up some mismatches, and Killian has the bulk and the size to post up. So we may have to do some things like that and incorporate those in to play to their strengths. And then you have Isaiah who can play inside. So we may have to adjust our numbers a little bit as far as our non-paint twos and our shot spectrum, just to adjust to our guys' strengths.
Thanks, Dwane. How do you get to Jeremy to the next level? I guess where can he build off of what he did last year? And does his role change at all this year?
No, he's going to be a high usage guy for us. He's going to be our primary scorer, our go-to scorer in certain go-to situations. With him, I think his major challenge will be rebounding, is adding rebounding to the game and bringing rebounding to the table. We can't expect Isaiah to get all the rebounds or Kelly, so we got to really have some rebounding from our other frontline players. And so that's one area where he can really pick up, and he knows that. But it's an opportunity for him to take the next step, and I see that taking the next step is providing winning plays, which he will. That would be a great, because I think the usage I don't know how much more we could utilize him as far as offense is concerned, but just getting back to the rebounding part would be huge for him.
A lot of teams have done what this organization has done and tried to scrape it down and build up with first-round picks. You guys hit, obviously, with the 3 last year and 𝐒𝐿𝐀𝐋 at the top. Do you feel like you have a core that's a little bit more special, a little bit more unique than a lot of teams that have done it in the past like this?
Well, we're a year ahead in the process, I think, as far as bringing those guys, the second-year guys back, like Sadiq, like Isaiah, bringing those guys back, the continuity, the consistency they bring back, gives us another step, like we were talking about, taking another step forward. I think that's huge, with bringing the same core group back. As far as we have some special young talent. I use the word young, and that is going to be, we're going to have our ups and downs, we're going to have adversity, but at the same time, we want people to have to make a decision when they come into LCA to play. I use the analogy of the San Francisco, not saying we're going to be like San Francisco Giants. I think they were picked, 4th from the bottom, and now they have the best record in the Major League Baseball, and I hope and pray we emulate that, but it can be done. So I say, why not us? Everybody's counting us out, got us at the bottom, which is great, fine. I function better being an underdog, and hopefully our guys put a chip on their shoulder. So there's no reason to put limits on how high we can go, but I'm being realistic and understanding. It's going to be tough and difficult, but it still can be done, and why not us? We had a lot of close games last year. Guys, one thing that our guys didn't do last year is quit playing. They played hard each and every night. So bring that to the table again this year with some more experience, added talent, added three-point shooting, and we should take a full step forward.
When you look at the history of the number one picks, obviously it's always going to be a tag label on somebody. We want to see if they'll do something, if you plus as the coaching staff, and you being around young talent, how do you guys support him and make sure he's successful, with his first year as well?
That's a good question, E. One thing I know, Cade won't be a bust. He's not, that's one thing you can guarantee that. But there will be growing pains. We have to be supportive. He's going to have a target on his back each and every night, and it's up on us, his teammates, the coaching staff, and the whole organization is to make sure we support him. There's going to be some nights he scores 7. There's going to be some nights he scores 25. Is that who he is either way? No. There's somewhere in between until he gets used to the NBA game. So the expectations will be there. He earned them. It's not like, somebody gave it to him. He earned it by being the number 1 pick. And so that's part of the NBA. Nobody's going to feel sorry for him, but we as an organization, as his coaching staff and teammates, have to support him in every situation. And going in, understanding, and been in it that long, I've seen it. Like you said, the number 1 pick doesn't mean automatically coming in and dominating the league. Probably most of the time, if you look at the history of the NBA, usually the opposite. But so having the expectation, the understanding of where he is and helping him in every situation. He can't get too high when he scores 20. He can't get too high when he gets 7. Get too low when he gets 7. So that's the kind of support we have to be realistic with any rookie, not just him, but any rookie. Yeah.
How do you balance as a coach who's going to want to, obviously put some wins in the column there, that you're going to have the ball in the hands of 2 20-year-olds a lot, Killian and Cade, and we all know the history of the league, teams with young playmakers that kind of struggle to win those last 5 minutes.
Well, first of all, I pray a lot, Keith. That's one thing, too. I pray a lot. But, no, Killian, I'm very confident. He came back in September, a different kid. Played okay in the summer league. Not great, but okay. But he came in September in his individual volunteer workouts and did a great job playing with pace, the speed, was at an NBA level, which is always the challenge for all young players, is to get to that intensity level that it takes to win in this league. But he did that. He came back in great condition. Again, it's going to be a learning curve. That's the type of expectations that you have of young players. You expect that. You know that there's going to be some nights where they can't get it across half court, and some nights he's going to look great. So but there's somewhere in between of where that growth process is that I expect. So it's trying to put them in the right situation. We're going to have a lot of plays where you have Jeremy handling the ball. You're going to have 𝐒𝐂𝐈𝐀𝐋. You're going to have Isaiah handling the ball to take the pressure off of our young guards. You got Corey Joseph in the mix who can kind of take some of the pressure off. And again, that's why the thought process of playing Killing and Cade at the same time. If you put the ball in one of those guys' hands, it's going to be an issue because of the lack of experience and the lack of experience of playing against guys like Smart and Patrick Beverly and all those guys. So it wouldn't be fair, to put a quarterback, I think Chicago tried that last night and you saw what happened. So it's tough, and it doesn't say anything about their ability or what they're going to be. It's just the initiation into our league.
Can you, on that note, Dwane, can you develop two players who play the same exact position and they almost have the same age? Can you give both of them enough room, enough runway to grow? Or do you almost have to make a choice where one person's got to take a step back?
Vince, I just totally disagree that they're the same exact. In today's NBA, everybody wants to put a number. He's a point guard. He's a 2. He's a 3. In today's league, it's almost positionless basketball. If you look at a lot of teams now, they may need a number for the scorecard or whatever. But as far as handling the ball, you got to have multiple ball handlers in today's game. You got to have multiple playmakers or guys who can initiate the play. It may be the 5-man. For us, it's going to be the 5-man a lot, initiating the offense. So whatever numbers you want to put on them, it doesn't apply to us. And a lot of teams in the NBA, they're guards. Both of them are guards. We have wings. We have big men. So they're both of them need each other. One has the ball, he needs the other guy. This one has the ball, he needs the other guy. So it doesn't take away from each other's game the way we want to play and the way they're going to get their looks, the touches, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm not going to get caught up in those guys playing the same position. That's going to be a narrative, I think, that hopefully will disappear as we watch them play and play with each other.
I have a quick follow-up.
Okay.
You're heavily involved with the competition committee.
Mhm.
They came up with the rules last week. A lot of us got to sit down and talk to some of the referees. Did you like some of the changes, more tailored toward defensive players, or did you want to see it go a little bit further?
No, Vince, that's a great question. It's one of the areas that we talked about, giving a little bit more balance back to the edge, back to the defensive players, where you're not afraid to touch them, or whether offensive players are trying to trick the referees with the hook, the sudden stops, the veer off into the guy's path. So I like everything we've done as far as the rules committee and competition committee of making those recommendations. I think we're going in the right direction. So I think it's for the good, but I think everything we do has to be gradual. Just a lot of things, the pandemic, there's so many changes that players are getting used to before you know it. We can't just go ahead and change a total rule. So a lot of these are going to be gradual, and I credit Adam for that. They just don't want to just overall just randomly toss away some of the rules or change the rules. So a lot of the new changes will be gradual, and we'll see how, and it's going to be monitored very heavily as far as how the rules are going to be adjudicated and called, and so like I tell the players, this is September, so we'll see how it goes in December. But the officials are on it. Monty's done a great job of really educating the referees, and I think it's going to be huge to educate our players and educate also the fans as far as what the new rules are and how they're going to be called.
Dwane, good to see you.
Good to see you, Ron.
Obviously, roster completely different from when you got here, but what's your optimism level with this group and a nice chunk of those guys being young guys, first or second year guys, and having some vets to augment that? But just
your ability to teach and your loving to teach, that you get to do a little bit of that and
Right.
build this roster
Right.
and develop this roster a little bit more.
Well, it's still, we're still teaching, we're still growing. That old word process, we got to go through that. We got to go through the grind of taking our lumps and not understanding the NBA, learning the NBA, so to speak, Rod. I think that's the biggest challenge, but it's exciting for me. It's exciting for our coaching staff. We have, luckily, knock on wood, hired a staff that is really excited about teaching. Billy Bano, Rex Kalamian, Jim Moran, Jerome Allen, all great teachers with enthusiasm, and they enjoy it. So it's going to be a teaching standpoint from that. But at the same time, my goal and my push is to win. We should always go in, not just, hey, we're learning, no, go ahead and kick our butt. No, we're not going into this season that way. We're going in to compete, to win. And, at the same time, being realistic and the word patient, understanding there's going to be nights 7 and 25. And that's not going to be characteristic of who that player is, whether it's A, B, or C. It's going to be somewhere in between.
Dwayne, I don't think we've talked to you since the team signed Kelly.
Mhm.
Obviously, him and Isaiah are both going to play a lot, but have you thought about them together? Is there a possibility we see a lot of minutes of them?
You
playing
will,
together?
no question, no question. Kelly Olynyk is a great find by Troy and his staff. I've had a man crush on Kelly since Toronto. I mean, he's from Canada, and we've always tried to get him there. When I was back in that other life in Toronto. So, well-respected young man. Someone asked about usage. He'll have a high usage rates because he's such a great passer, high IQ, great three-point shooter. So he's going to add an element to our offense and to our defense because he is a communicator defensively. And so that's going to he's an excellent addition to go along with Isaiah. And it's not going to stunt Isaiah's growth. And matter of fact, it's going to help it a lot.
Well, Mark,
Mhm.
when with the G League team coming in this year, and of course a lot of young guys, we saw, Ricky's and Luka Garza and Isaiah Livers, who may struggle to find time with the main squad. Plan to be maybe a little bit more aggressive in those assignments and crews this season.
We're going to utilize it to the hilt, and that's something that I think I know all of you basketball fans will enjoy, is watching the growth right here in Detroit with the crews, a beautiful arena. Troy's done a heck of a job of bringing young guys in that's going to fit that mold, whether it's Garza, Saban, whoever those young players are. And there's no tag. I want to repeat this. There's no tag when a guy goes to the crews to play and practice and come back. When I felt that when guys were down Grand Rapids, I was talking about Sekou going down there. There's no shame in that. And I can give you many examples of guys in our league that's making a lot of money who did that for a couple years. And one young man in Toronto was starting. He was starting, going down there in practice, coming back. So there's no shame or stigma by going. Matter of fact, it's a badge of honor to go there and get your work in, extra work in, play, get the rotations, whatever it is. So we hope, Amari, to utilize it to the fullest, and I hope our fans will embrace the crews, watch the growth of a guy like Luka Garza, a guy like Jamarco Pickett, who is going to be, I think that young man has a really, really big chance of being a good player in our league. He's been impressive through the workouts. So I'm excited for Rob Murphy's done a good job, and DJ Baker is going to be the head coach down there, the group they put together. I'm really excited about that part of our program.
Larry. Hi, Dwayne.
Mhm.
Cade's obviously going to be his own player, but can you humor us and tell us who you think he reminds you of, past or present, or a blend of who?
Larry, that's a loaded question and a good question. It's hard for me to say exactly who he can be because the young man, he's big, he's longer than you think he is. He's an excellent shooter. Man, it's just hard for me to put a name on it right now, and I wouldn't want to pigeonhole him like that, but he's got a very, very bright future. Let me think about that and get back to you on that because he has the tools of a lot of different players in our league that have been around. You know, Paul George comes to mind, you know, just off of the top of my head, with his size, the way he can post up. I had DeMar DeRozan, he has those characteristics in the post, his mid-range game. So there's a lot of guys, but I don't want to pigeonhole him and say that's all it is. But most recently, those are the names that come to mind that he can be if he continues to work.
Hey, Coach, how does it make you feel seeing the brotherhood amongst all of your players?
Where's this at? Well, okay. Mm-hmm.
How does it feel seeing the brotherhood in all of your players? I mean, seeing the team so young right now, but then the other day you see Cade Cunningham and the way Isaiah Stewart's singing happy birthday with the rest of the guys. How does that make you feel?
It's great. And I'm going to say this, the turnout we've had for the month of September of volunteer workouts, second to none. I didn't make one phone call to say, hey, get your butt in here. Then they were already here, working out, moving into Detroit, being a part of the community. That's the start of something special there. And that's the culture we want to build. That's the culture we've all talked about of building, to making Detroit the place to go and be. And so it's so important to have that with our young players, and that camaraderie they have. They're kind of all on the same stage and line of growth, that it makes it really good. And you add a vet in like Jeremy, Kelly Olynyk, Corey Joseph, Rodney Magruder. All those are great vets for those young players. But they're all over the city. They've moved all over found places. So that's really good to see, and that's what you want to see, the brotherhood and the togetherness, amongst the team.
Thanks, Dwane.
Okay, all right, thank you guys.